everybody. Wow. Wow. Wow, wow. I love this excitement. Oh, this is awesome. You know, I got to tell you, this kind of excitement makes me happy. I draw from it. And the reason I draw from it is because I believe we're all one. We are all part of the same team called the human race. And the happier you are, the happier I am. And I just want to tell you, so I can make one thing clear. I got a message from George that said this is a family reunion. And he said, dress like you're going to a family reunion. Well, no, last Sunday I went to the Mob Museum, and apparently this is how my people dress for family reunions. So I figured I'd just say this way, and it makes me happy. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about me and what I believe, and I will tell you up front, I believe that everything is possible. So let's talk about possibilities. And the reason I want to talk about it is I do believe everything is possible. And in telling you that, I'm also, besides being a lawyer, I'm a professional mentalist. So people look at me and say, what do you do for a living? And my answer is I read minds. See, to me, that's not impossible, because I've spent my entire life making that possible. So until someone tells you something as simple as building a business is impossible, how many people here know that it is not? Is it possible? Come on! We know it is. Now, I want to tell you right up front, I'm a little different from most, shall we say, motivational speakers. Because I am not motivational at all. I am miserable. Just ask my wife. No, she will tell you I am just misery. But the one thing I want to do that most speakers don't do, I want to set a goal. And we're going to do that right here and now. How are you? Good, what's your name? Chase. Chase, stand up right there. Good. And let's see. You, sir, what's your name? Rich, stand up. All right. And you, please stand up, man. What's your name? Liz. And you, the guy whose eyes are avoiding me, like if I don't look at him, he won't pick me. Please stand up. Would you please stand? And here's how we're going to do this. I want each of you, at the count of 3, to just bring to your mind a single digit. Can we do that? 1, 2, 3, go. Now, we're going to go in order, sir. What is your single digit? 1? No, single digit. Wait, did I say single? Yeah, I love it. She's dreaming. She's way beyond me. What is it? 6. 1, 6. 1. 1, 6, 1, 8. Can everybody say that number out loud? 1, 6, 1, 8. And here's what that number is, and you can all sit down. Thank you very much, all 4 of you. That number, 1, 6, 1, 8, is the goal. Yeah, I know. You expected me to open and have a fat Italian with watches. But no, not tonight. That's the goal. And here's what the goal is. $1,618. How many people, and let's start off lame, how many people want to make an extra $1,618 this year? No, come on, no, don't do that. How many people want to make it this month? How many people want to make $1,618 today? All right, let's push this over the top. How many people want to make it in the next hour? Yeah, that's awesome. So let me just see. Hi, how are you? What's your name? Francis. Francis, you are the representative of the audience. How are you doing, Francis?
Very well, thank you.
Francis, how long have you been in the business?
Quite a while.
Quite a while.
Yeah.
All right. Well, no, I'm just checking because here's what I want to do. I'm going to open this envelope and reach in here and pull out a letter that I wrote earlier today. And Francis, we're going to take a look at this, and I'm going to read it. And if I say anything that is not on that paper, you hold it. If I say anything that's not on that paper, hit me. All right? No, that's important because you're not going to believe what's about to happen. This afternoon, in my room, I wrote a note, and it says, July 19th, 2019. Tonight, in Wichita, in front of the amazing people of the World Information Network, it will be my job to have the audience create a daily goal of an extra $1,618. Thank you, and you may keep that. There you go. See, when I feel like I can connect with people, and I know what you're thinking up front, that tells me it's going to be a great night. Now, I want to tell you a little bit more now that I did something crazy, actually impossible. When I was in law school, I learned something called persuasion. The art of persuasion, how to get people to do things, how to make people act the way I wanted them to act. And it dealt with Aristotle. How many people have heard of dead Greek guys like Aristotle, right? Yes. And the first thing you've got to know is that Aristotle talked about ethos, the essence of your character. He then talked about logos, which is the factual basis. Then he talked about pathos. And I have to tell you, here's the problem. As I learned all of that, I realized it was crap. I mean, no, it's still relevant today, but here's what you need to know. It's not persuasion as a science. It's persuasion by building a team of people. Now, the day I called the death of Aristotle, I was a young lawyer in a small little town in Pennsylvania called Clearfield, Pennsylvania. Now, for those of you that don't know where Clearfield is, I will explain this little town. Everyone knows Penn State. That evil, no, I'm sorry, I'm just not a Penn State fan. That little place in the middle of Pennsylvania and 42 miles northwest of Penn State and exactly 1 mile south of absolutely nowhere. There was this little town of Clearfield, and I became a prosecutor. And I tried my very first case as a prosecutor in that town. And I worked hard. My opponent was a gentleman in the public defender's office named Denny. Denny had cerebral palsy and was in a wheelchair. And Denny and I went to battle. We both used everything we learned to persuade people to move, to persuade the jury to act. And we worked hard to get them on the same page. For me, and he worked for himself. Well, here's what happened. The jury retired. They came back with a verdict. I won, but that's irrelevant. Because after it ended, I went to the Clearfield Diner. And I sat at a table in the diner. Wednesday night was chicken and waffle night. All you can eat. Yep. Love that. Sat there and ate chicken and waffles. And Denny sat and ate across from me. And he and I just laughed our tails off, joking about the trial, joking about how much we had fought. And a woman came up and stood at our table, and she just looked at us. And she said, "Excuse me." And I looked up at her and I said, "I think you are a jury forewoman." And she said, "Yes." I said, "Is something wrong?" She said, "We had a verdict in 2 minutes. We talked for 1 hour about how much you two hated each other." That was the day that I realized that what I said didn't matter. And today, let me let you in on a secret. Nothing I say up here matters. No, not at all. I can talk all night, it doesn't matter. What matters is what's happening in your head while I am speaking. What do you think about when I talk? What triggers something for you to tell you what is happening. That is what matters. So my job is to make you think. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to think about the possibilities of everything that I talk about. Now, I told you I'm a mind reader and a mentalist. I just want to explain, I was a magician. There was a really bad thing that happened and it all came to a crashing halt. It ended abruptly. So I gave that up, and I want to clear that up front and tell you a little bit about me and this journey of mine and that discovery of what people think. And what's interesting is I had a very dear friend who actually, I know in this audience some of you know, my best friend was Charlie Tremendous Jones. And Charlie and I spent a lot of time together. And Charlie's biggest quote was, "You will be the same person today as you are in 5 years as you are today, except for two things: the people you meet and the books you read." Now, we all know you want to read books, and that's what Charlie did, by the way. I have an entire room in my house that is full of books that I will never get to, but I believed I was buying extra years of life to read them when I stockpiled them. But then one of the things that happened in my life is I realized, to me, what was important was the people you meet. How do you take everyone in this room and become a team so that you can work together? Now let's ask the question. I want to explain why me, because I have a very strange background. First of all, I am born and raised in Philadelphia. That is my wife and I at the Rocky statue. And I was born in Philadelphia, and by the way, I do live in Hershey. So for those of you that come in to contact me when I'm not on stage, just be aware, the attitude is from Philly, the body is by Hershey Chocolate. Well, the summer of 1982 was an interesting summer. I was accepted that summer into law school. Monday morning, I opened my mail, and there I was, accepted into law school. On Tuesday, I opened my mail, and there it was. I had passed my engineering training exam. I could have been a civil engineer. And then on Wednesday, I was accepted to Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College. Yep. I had a decision to make. And let me tell you, Thursday was the longest day in my mother's life. Because I had a mother that told me I was incredible. She told me I was wonderful. She told me I was amazing. She said to me, "You can grow up and be anything you want to be, as long as it's a lawyer." But the good news was, it's what I wanted. So I chose law school. I decided that I was going to go to law school because I wanted to deal with adversity. So now, right up front, I'm going to teach you a lesson today, and I'm going to be with you, by the way, tomorrow. And tomorrow night, you're going to get to see a show. And we're going to cover a lot of stuff. But right up front, I want to give you value. That I know that if you walk out of this room, you are going to save money. Is that a good deal? Okay, great. Here's the deal. Philadelphia is known for something. What is Philadelphia, other than beating up fans of all other teams? And yes, by the way, I was at the 1980 World Series game when the Philadelphia Phillies beat the Kansas City Royals. Just saying. But what are we known for? We are known for cheesesteaks. And there is a battle between Pat's and Geno's. There's two cheesesteaks located very close to each other. And I'm not going to settle that battle other than to say, my choice, if you're drunk, you go to Pat's at 3 a.m. If you're not, you go to Geno's for lunch. So let's put that right up front. But here's what I want to explain to you. And this is how I'm going to save you money. Seriously, save you money. When you go to eat a real Philadelphia cheesesteak, should you find yourself in Philly and you want to experience it, okay? This is the most important advice I'll ever give you. I'm going to use this microphone to pretend it's a cheesesteak. Philadelphians do not eat like normal people. No, that's why we invented cheesesteaks. So to solve that problem, we go to the food. So you lean over and bite the cheesesteak. All the grease and junk falls on the ground. If you eat it this way, it's going to get all over your shirt, all over your dress, and you're going to pay for a dry cleaner. So right now, I've just saved you dry cleaning fees. You know, that's who I am. I'm a Philadelphia guy with a bad attitude. Now, I keep hitting the laser button. Who are you? Who are you? Yes, I know who you are. You're adorable. I love it. But no, who are you? Ask yourself who you are, and here's what I want you to learn to answer. You need to be consistent. Don't change. Don't change. Don't change to what people want you to be. Don't change to what you think you need to be. And I'm going to say it again, my mother was wrong. We all want to lead and be powerful in our own businesses. We want people to do what we tell them. And my mother said to me, people will judge you based on your character. She said to me that people will listen to me as long as I have good character. And Ralph Waldo Emerson said, who you are speaks so loudly I can't hear what you're saying. Well, for those of you who have doubt about your own personality traits, you doubt something about yourself, ask yourself this: if being good character all the time, in every possible imaginable way, was necessary, how did Attila the Hun rise to power? How did Adolf Hitler rise to power? Now, before I go on, let me say that if there's anybody here that hopes that someday they're going to be evil, living in a volcano with a white cat and want to rule the world, please leave now, because I'm not talking to you. I want people to understand, don't beat yourself up for who you are. Accept who you are. Define your own character traits. Define what they are. There's a lot of character traits we could all have. And the positive character traits are ones that are good ones. And how many people look at this list that's behind me and say, this is what I want to achieve? Do you? Do you want to be good? Do you want to have all these traits? Do you want to collect them? People do. But how many people here have every one of these traits? Okay, George, except for you. I'm sorry. Who has all of these? None of us. None of us do. But what we can do is choose the ones we can build and improve. And I believe that if we learn, and especially in your business, if you learn to be optimistic, you will win. If you learn to be courageous and take on challenges, you will win. And if you learn to persevere through everything, you will achieve. They are the three most important ones. So if we're going to take this list of positive, they're the ones you should work on. Now, some people look at me and say, I wish I could change. I wish there was a way for me to change because I have some of these traits. How many people, you don't have to raise your hands, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but how many people think that these are the traits they might have? Because that's what we have. We have people pounding into our heads that we may be negative in certain things. We may not have all positive traits. Well, what I'd like to do is talk about negative character traits for a moment. And I'm going to ask, hi, take a pencil. And if you would, take a pencil. Hello, how are you? Give you one of these. And we're going to come over here. Each one of the four of you that I gave a piece of paper to, there you go. I'd like you to write down a trait that you have. Now, let me start by saying, I will not tell anyone in the room what you write. It will be our secret. I will not share it with anyone. but I want you to be honest. Write down a negative trait that you wish you could change. Something about yourself that sometimes stands in your way. Something about yourself that you find challenging. And please take a moment and write that down now. Good. Now, he's writing. Don't worry if I'm not peeking. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see that far. Would you do me a favor, sir? Please. Just take this glass and hang tight for a moment. I picked you because you look like my bodyguard. You know? Like you and I had a little espresso somewhere. That's what it kind of feels like. I like this look.
That'd be all right.
Huh?
That'd be all right.
Yeah, we're made. We're good. So when you guys are done writing, take your paper, and if you would, just fold it. Here, I'll show you, because I want them all to look alike. I want you to fold it like this, in half, and then fold it again. Okay? And if you would take the glass and collect all of those pieces of paper. Because we all wish we could change something about ourselves. We all wish that we could be different. And you're going to leave here, you're going to have the support of all these people. Actually, if you would, hey, can somebody turn on the gold microphone for a moment? I'm going to ask you to put that cup right there. And Ken, you are now my announcer. Okay. If you would take that, I want you to take one of those pieces of paper out and read it out loud. You can read into the microphone, can you? All right. He's not sure what it says.
Procrastination.
Procrastination, thank you. And fold that up and put it back on the stage next to the cup. Procrastination. Procrastination's awesome. I am a procrastinator. Because you know why? YouTube. If I can watch YouTube, I don't have to get anything else done. You know, I just watch cat videos all day. But here's what happens. Procrastination is usually something that we are told we're a procrastinator. We repeat it to ourselves. We get frustrated about it. But the reality of it is something we self-impose because there's a reason we don't choose to act. Last night, actually, I went out to dinner at Saigon, and I had a fortune cookie, and the fortune said, the simplest answer is to act. So if anyone here feels that they're a procrastinator, the minute you think you're about to put something off, take out a piece of paper and just write the word do. And get it done. Would you take out another one and read it out loud? I do this because only 4, I can't do the whole list. But I want to invoke little changes in common things that we all have in common. Things that we all need to see changed in our lives.
Annoying, stubborn, and shy.
Annoying, stubborn, and shy. Place that back on the ground, on the stage there. Annoying, stubborn, and shy. That's awesome, because that's like 3 things. That's like a bonus round. Ding, 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 ding. No, really, because here's annoying. I don't annoy myself. I annoy my wife. That's her definition of my actions. So don't get hung up on being annoying. Don't get hung up on saying, I'm annoying. No, people tell you you're annoying. No. Usually what annoying means people want something done. People want to get things moving. They don't want to sit and watch. What was the other one? Annoying, stubborn. Stubborn's the same thing. We want it done because we know the right way to do it. That usually goes with annoying hand in hand, actually. Because the reality of it is, when we want it done our way, it has to be done. And like for tonight, my wife had to go to an event in the Poconos, and somebody made reservations and sent her, my wife Debbie, wrote back to the woman and said, I don't know what time I'm arriving. So I don't know if I can make the 6 o'clock dinner reservation. And our friend texted her back, drive faster. Wow. Not taking a no for an answer on that one. Would you read another one for me? Yeah. Yeah, while he's pulling out the next one to take a look at it, if anybody's interested, before I came up on stage, while the Coozers were talking, I got a phone call. The devil called. He wants his weather back. So, yes, what do you have?
Hard-headed.
Hard-headed. All right, anybody in the room Italian? Anybody from the room from Southern Italy? Okay, calabrese, baby. There is no head harder than this one. You know why? Because I always know I got it figured out. It's not negative. What it means is I sometimes have to remind myself to listen. Pay attention to people. Hard-headed means you're not listening. So just remind yourself sometimes, listen. Again, little note on your desk, listen. Pay attention to people, as we'll talk about throughout the next 2 days. The more you listen, the more you learn. Would you read the last one to me? Can you read it? He's handing it to me. Oh, it says dishonest. Hand me all of them, actually. And let me just say, oops, I'm going to take these, this, and this, and this. I've got one more. And ladies and gentlemen, if we could give my Vanna White a round of applause. All right, never mind. If we give Guido a round of applause. Thank you, sir. All right, somebody wrote dishonest. Now let me tell you something. Dishonest, all I want to say on that one is I hope the person that wrote that is not a dishonest person, but believes it's a character trait that they have because they've been told that. But dishonesty, to me, is one of the weirdest character traits. And we're going to talk tomorrow about something that causes dishonesty. I think dishonesty is a result of fear. People don't want to face their fears, so they lie. They don't want to face work and effort, so they lie. So ask yourself, am I really dishonest, or am I fighting something? Now, the 4 people that stood up, please stay standing. Get it standing again, if you would all stand. Oh, wait, just the 4 that had the paper. That was you. Hold that. Hold that, please. Hold that. Hold that. And hold that. Now, as I said, the 4 of you wrote something down. I have not shared it with anybody, and I will not share those with anyone. Those are yours to keep. I would suggest that you make notes on that card later and write down ideas for how to change that behavior. Now, all 4 of you, open the slip of paper I handed you. And if I handed you the paper with your trait on it, please be seated. Thank you. Thank you, all 4 of you. That's fun. Yeah, my wife doesn't know how she lives with me. You know, what we want when we build our business is we want to be a leader. How many people in this room are leaders? Okay? And I hope everyone is, because here's the thing, you're your own leader, but then you start to acquire people behind you and you want to lead, and the goal is you want everyone around you to go in your direction. We want everyone to do what we want them to do because it's what makes us happy. And that's the cool part about this weekend, is because you are all here because you share a common drive. You share a desire to move forward, and that is what I call a unifying vision. A unifying vision is one that keeps us all going in one direction. It's one that wants to get everyone to say yes and do what we want them to do. When we were kids, we had dreams, we had desires, we had goals, we had things we wanted. And then we gave up on them, didn't we? Some of us gave up on the dream we had as a child. We gave up on the dream. Oh yeah, by the way, random advice. I interrupt myself sometimes just because it's fun. Random advice one. Yep, for all of you need to know. The moment you realize you're older and wiser, remember, you were once young and dumb. And by the way, the corollary, if you see yourself as a young dreamer, remember, you soon will be old and stubborn. I know, I like to interrupt myself. It gives me a challenge. Those quotes go with people because whether we are a baby boomer, a millennial, Gen X, Gen Y, or I don't even know what Zs want to be called anymore. But everyone has their own age group. And here's the thing. I don't believe there is a generational problem. We all look at it and say, millennials are different. Millennials this, millennials that. And the millennials look at the baby boomers and go, yeah, they're old, they're evil, they're whatever. Well, here's the deal, okay? Millennials in the audience, okay? I know, thank God, it seems to have passed. But you created man buns. Oh, wait a minute, baby boomers, you created the mullet. Because see, what happens is everything one generation creates becomes the birthright of the next generation. We complain that millennials are texting all the time, or my daughters complain that I'm texting all the time. Well, you know why I text all the time? Because I'm in the generation that invented all that tech. I don't have it as my birthright, but I invented it because I wanted it. I didn't actually invent it, but my people did. My age group did. And millennials use it like crazy because they were born into it. And we're the ones that push for it to be invented. But then we look at the millennials and go, all they're doing is texting each other. Hello? Stop looking at each generation and seeing it as different. Because we are all common. We all, as I say when I open, we all are human. And that's all we want, is to be treated as members of the human race. As a lawyer, I was appointed in 2000 to be a juvenile judge. I took the bench for 10 years. I sat as a juvenile judge handling juvenile cases. And one of the juveniles that I dealt with was a young man named Ken. Ken committed crimes that were heinous. I don't even get into the details other than to say Ken's victims were usually children. He was horrible. Ken got sentenced by a judge in juvenile court. What that means is he goes into the court system, and every 6 months he came in front of me, and I had to decide, is Ken rehabilitated and ready to be released, or should Ken go back to lockup? That was my job. Every 6 months, Ken came in front of me, and Ken made my job easy. Because the minute I took the bench and called his case, Ken looked at me and said, F you. Pal, you're going back. But I would make a record, I would listen to the probation officer, and I'd find out what happened. And then I'd send him back. In the juvenile system, when a juvenile turns 21, they get set free. You can't lock them up any longer. Ken came in front of me about 5 months before his 21st birthday. Ken came in to see me, sat in the courtroom, and I took the bench, and he typically looked at me and said, F you. I looked at Ken, and I said, Ken, I'll never see you again. Next time I do, you're not going to be a juvenile. you're either going to be locked up in the prison system, or you're going to be a father and a husband. Get out of my courtroom. And they took him out. Well, about 6 years later, I'm sitting in my office, and Betty, my office manager, calls me and says, Joe, there's a man here to see you. His name is Ken. I had long forgotten Ken. So I came down to see who it was to see me. I walked into my waiting room, my reception area. I looked up, and I remembered Ken. Yep. I knew he was there to kill me. Yep. How I was going to die. So I said, let's go into my conference room. I didn't want him to kill my office manager, too. I liked her. If it was my prior office manager, I would have stayed in the waiting room and ducked. But I said, Ken, let's go into the conference room. We walked into the conference room. The moment we walked into the conference room, Ken reached into his jacket. I took a deep breath. Honest to God, scared as death. He comes out with a photograph, and he reaches across the table and hands it to me. And I looked at it and I said, who's that? And Ken said, it's my wife. I'm marrying her on Saturday. And I stared. And he said, we're having a baby. And I stared. And I said, Ken, what happened since I last saw you? And Ken looked at me and said, when I was in juvenile detention, I had done wrong. And they wanted me to admit that I did wrong. But all they did every day was chase at us, direct us, tell us what to do. They took away our independence. And then they brought me in front of you, and you were the symbol of the system. And he said, but then that last day I was in front of you 6 years ago. Do you remember, Mr. Curcillo, what you said to me? And I honestly looked at Ken and said, I have absolutely no idea what I said. And he said to me, you told me that I would leave here, and the next time you saw me, I was either going to be locked in adult prison, or I was going to be a father and a husband. And I said, I guess I know which one you chose. And Ken looked at me and said, in 21 years of my life, Mr. Curcillo, you're the only person that ever gave me a choice. Choice. That's what he had for me. It wasn't intentional. I was angry. But 6 years later, what I realized was the fact that I gave him that choice, it meant something. The message resonated. And I realized that choice, making people choose to do the right thing, to choose their own success, to choose their own future, that is what makes them a loyal, solid member of your team. Because frankly, I have to tell you, choice is powerful. If you do it, and you do it randomly, sometimes that's going to come back to bite you. Because random's not always good. In fact, I'll tell you, hi, how are you? Good. How are you? Come on up here for a minute. Come on up. Oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Here, what's your name?
Farron.
Farron?
Yes.
Farron, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Farron. Farron, I brought you up, and I know you stay right there because here's the problem. I watch the news. And by the way, I watch the news, so I know that how I greet you, whether I hug you, sniff your hair, shake your hand, it all comes back to bite me, okay? So we're going to make this random, but I also want to share with you at this moment, for those of you who dream like I do, today there was a press release, and all of my dreams have been shattered. The 2020 Corvette is not going to have manual transmission. I don't even know why I tried. Okay, here's what I'd like to do. I have in my hands a die. A die has 6 numbers. For those of you who do not know, If one side has a 1 on it, the other side is a 6, because opposite sides always add up to 7. What I'd like to do is I'm going to drop it in the cup, and I want you to cover it with your hand. Take that hand and get ready to cover it. Cover it now. And here are 6 possible options of how I'm going to greet her and walk her off the stage. But she's going to decide randomly how it's going to occur, all right? So we're going to take that and shake it around. Okay, good. On the count of 3, pick up your hand, look in, and yell out what number you see. What was it?
4.
4. 4. This is so exciting. No, you don't understand. This is so exciting. I get to hug her. Oh, that's so awesome. Oh my God. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, yeah. Oh, you're so fortunate. Thank you so much. Yeah, I hope that went well for you.
It did.
Okay, good. Oh. Yeah, that, I don't know, sometimes I just do stuff for myself. Choice is very important, it's what matters. Okay, random advice. All right? Gentlemen, there is no reason a man should take a bathroom selfie. Okay, write that on a note in your desk. All right? What do people want? People want to be part of something bigger. We want a choice, but we want to be a part of something. We want it to matter. And that has to be bigger than one person. That's why you're all here. Because this business is bigger than one person. Every one of you has a chance to keep leapfrogging and be bigger than anyone else. But that's the drive. That's the connection of being big. One of my favorite big pictures occurred in 1776. And yes, I'm from Philadelphia. So for me, I pay attention, except for the fact that for years I didn't. I lived in the city of Philadelphia and I worked across the street from the Liberty Bell. Yep, Philadelphia, the biggest asset it owns is broken. But I walked to work every day. And I never went and looked at the Liberty Bell. I used to work outside the city. And I would park in a parking lot. And I would do work next to a giant arch that commemorates Valley Forge. And never once got out to look at the arch. How many times does something happen in your life where you don't pay attention to the greatness that's right there? The awe that is yours. In fact, I always like to interrupt this moment to say, I went to Temple University. 7 years at Temple University. Okay? Does anyone know why Temple University is important for me to mention? Temple University is important because at the center of campus, we had a bell tower. And that bell tower commemorated the founder of Temple University. And for 7 years, I sat on that bell tower. And I had a cup of coffee in the morning and I had breakfast. And there under my feet, engraved on the ground around the bell tower, was Russell Conwell's speech, Acres of Diamonds. And I never once read it. For those of you that don't know it, ask the baby boomers, they'll tell it to you. But all that greatness that we ignore because we take it for granted. How many people do you take for granted? How many times do you look at people and say, no, they're not going to fit. They're not going to be a match. They're not going to do this. Well, let's talk about generational differences and when we look at people and judge them. The important thing about 1776, the American Revolution, fought by a cross-section of America, beginning with Sybil Ludington, who was only 16, and ending with Samuel Whitmore. Each one of these people One, Sybil Luddington, Gen Z. John Paul Jones, millennial. Barzillai Liu, Gen Y. And Benjamin Franklin, Samuel Adams, baby boomer, but Benjamin Franklin, Samuel Whitmore, they were the lost generation if you take them, overlap the ages. And every one of them contributed because nobody said, we don't need your help. You can't do anything for us. Everyone became a part of something big. And what made them part of something big was the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence, where the Americans signed. And what did we pledge? We mutually pledged to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred values. Is there anything bigger than that? No. Everybody wanted to be a part of that. Everyone wanted to be a part of something bigger. Ask yourself tonight when you go to bed, how much energy have you put into yourself? Because you have a possible option in this life and in this world, you can be part of something bigger. See, I'm not a motivational speaker, I'm a realist. In fact, I laugh because people talked, and earlier we talked about Zig Ziglar. Zig Ziglar was an amazing man and a phenomenal man. And I once had an opportunity to have lunch with Charlie Tremendous Jones and Zig Ziglar at the Hotel Hershey. And here I am, now happily telling you, yeah, I'm an old baby boomer, okay? But in the 1990s when this happened, I was a 30-some-year-old punk kid who had the traits of a millennial. I respected nobody. We're sitting at lunch with Zig Ziglar, and I looked at him and I said, Zig, your quote, you always tell people motivation's like bathing. It doesn't work unless you do it every day. And he said, yes. And I said, you're wrong. Oh, well, you don't do battle with giants. Bad lunch. Charlie and Zig jumped on me, and I decided to shut up. And then on the way home, after we dropped Zig off at the airport, Charlie and I spoke, and I defended my position. And here's what my position is. And you heard it earlier tonight. Motivation is awesome. What's it do? It excites everybody. That's why you need it every day. If you inspire people, it'll last a lifetime. If you inspire people to act and give them something to do that they have to do for a month, a year, or 5 years, you don't need to motivate them every single day. Give them a purpose. Give them meaning. If people have meaning, great things will happen. All right, random advice number 6. This applies to everybody, and I'm doing this for the good of the hotel. Yeah, don't go to the bathroom in your dreams. Seriously. No, just in case you don't know, it's a setup. All right? Just warning you. Do you remember your dreams? Do you remember your dreams as a child? And that's what I start with, the dream of a nation, the dream that we all have. When we were children, we had dreams, and sometimes those dreams collapsed around us. Why did they collapse? Because people told us they weren't possible. People told us we couldn't do it. Ignore those people. Block them out. Follow your dreams now. You have a chance to be who you want to be. And I point this out. I had a 30-year career, 33 years, I guess it is, as a lawyer. I built a law firm. I had employees. I had lawyers working under me. And the day I wrote the last check for my youngest daughter's college education, my wife looked at me and said, "You're closing the firm, aren't you?" That was the deadline. I set a goal. I achieved it. The funny thing is, I went in the next day, and I got a plaque delivered to me telling me I was one of the top 10 trial lawyers in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Hey, let's go out on top. I brought my office staff in and told them they're all fired. No, see, they worked for me. I worked for me. I helped them all find other jobs, but the reality of it is, what you do for you is what you have control over. I offered them an opportunity to buy my firm, and none of them wanted it. Because some people aren't made up of that. Some people don't have that ability. Does anyone in this room have that flaw? Or are we all independent? Are we independent? Let's hear it. Yes. And do we want to do it for ourselves? All right, then I'm in the right room, just making sure. So when you want to achieve the dreams we had, we're always told to fake it until you make it. Fake it till you make it. Well, you know, here's the thing. If you fake being a superhero and jump off a building, you're going to die. Okay? No, I'm just saying it's going to happen. You know, by the way, I work and help people build teams. My goal is to talk to corporate executives, and I teach them how to build teams. One of them asked me, "Joe, do you do team building exercises?" And I said, "What do you mean, like trust falls?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, cool. Come with me." And I took him out to the balcony on the 8th floor of the building. And I said, "Look over." And he looked over, and I said, "If I put all your employees down there and told you to jump, would they catch you?" That's my idea of a trust fall. So do not hire me for team building exercises. All right? Why? Because I believe a good team's going to catch you. I believe that a powerful team is going to be there to catch you. But I also believe that you have to work. You can fake it till you make it. Okay? The problem is, you can dream about being a concert pianist. You can dream about the miracle of playing a piano. But if you don't have the right tools, it's not going to happen. What you invest in you today is what will make your dreams come true. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time in your life sad. So tell yourself when you wake up in the morning, and as I do, I say nothing's impossible, but I tell myself what I'm going to learn that day to make it possible. What am I going to achieve to make all things possible? See this guy? This guy is the world champion air guitarist. No, seriously, and I'll tell you why that's important. I wanted to be a rock and roll guitarist. That's all I ever wanted. And by the time I was 20, I realized that was not going to happen. I couldn't play like Jimi Hendrix because I didn't practice like Jimi Hendrix. If I knew air guitar was a thing, I would have competed in that because I look good doing that. But no, I realized this isn't for me because I didn't put in the time. So then I gave up guitar. I quit. About 10 years ago, my daughters challenged me to play again. And now I can't feel anything in my fingertips. I still can't play like Jimi Hendrix, but I'm working my tail off because it was important to me. What's important to you that you want to learn to do next? What is your big dream? Oh, random advice again. Yeah, always swim with a partner. It reduces your odds of being eaten by a shark by 50%. Okay? Just saying. So how big of a dream do you want to have? How big is a big dream? Let's look at dreams. How big is a dream? And at this moment, I have to tell you, this is one of the coolest moments for me standing on this stage today. And I'm going to tell you why. In my book, Getting to Us, and every speech that I do, I talk about one particular event and the event that I'm about to talk about began in 1963. And does anyone remember what that was? Huh? September 12th of 62. We choose to go to the moon. That's what John F. Kennedy told an entire nation. We choose to go to the moon, not because it is easy, but because it is hard. And it will challenge our resources. And then, 50 years ago, tomorrow, 3 men orbited the moon and landed on the moon, July 20th. And it's kind of cool for me to look back and go, that's 50 years ago today, so I'll never have this chance to say, yes, did the speech on the anniversary almost. I take almost sometimes, it's okay. But here's the thing. The people that were behind the scenes, the people that were part of that mission, okay, spoiler alert, they were government employees. No. Did you see them asking for breaks? Did you see them wandering away from their desk because they're going to have a cigarette? No. It was a cause that was so big and so powerful that everyone contributed their all to be a part of it. Even 3 women, a group of women, but specifically 3 were in a movie called Hidden Figures. These 3 women, in a segregated office in Hampton, Virginia, were the human computers that calculated through the entire space program. Because, by the way, millennials, yeah, computers didn't exist in 1962 when that all started. Yeah, they're new. Okay, just letting you know. But these women, they contributed to that cause. And everyone was moving in one single powerful direction. Because if you take choice, everyone belonged. Everyone knew that they were part of that package. And you all belong. If you give people a choice, you give them meaning. You create a sense of belonging, and you yourself remain consistent. You will have achieved a unifying vision that will get everyone to swim in one direction, not with you, not for you, and not because of you, but as a part of you. And that is what I hope, that when everyone leaves this room, when everyone leaves this event, you realize that giving people that ability to choose to be part of something great is what people need. How many people in this room know that you are part of something great? Wow. I expected louder than that. There we go. Tell me, how fired up are we? Because see, here's the problem. Don't you know you have something that is so great that you want to share it? You want to give people the choice, because if they're smart, are they going to choose it? Yes. If you give them a chance to belong, will they feel like they're a part of it? Yes. And will they be contributing to a cause? Yes. That is what you need to know every time you talk to someone. Be proud of what you do and embrace it, because that is where you are going. Now, tomorrow, I'm going to have a chance to stand in front of you again. And tomorrow we're going to have some fun, because we're going to talk about communication skills, talking to people, sharing what's in your head. But for tonight, as you listen to everyone else for the rest of this evening, you listen to these amazing people who have rocked this world by achieving levels that some of you are still dreaming about. Remember something. That could be you someday. Share it now, live it now, and go out there and kick some butt. Thank you all very much, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Thank you.